Hello folks, welcome ladies and gents. I am the Bibliotech Nerd, and this is the show where we review comics and graphic novels. I hope you're having a great day, and maybe it will just get that tiny bit better, since in this video, we shall be looking at Superman/Batman, Public Enemies Part 2. This will wrap up and conclude the already epic story. As always, I will do a short summary of the story before moving on to the opinion spiel part of the video. Before I start though, I'll give a quick recap on the story so far and what happened in the last video. Metallo was on a rampage to find his once human body, forcing Superman to meet up with Batman to figure out on how to stop him. After a quick fight and near death, our two heroes regroup back in the Batcave. Even here though, they aren't safe, as Superman from the future attacks with a stark warning. The rest of the story follows the pair as they attempt to confront Luthor, but are met at every corner by a variety of villains. Our story in the last video left off with the two meeting Luthor's Elite Metahuman Team that is led by Captain Atom. And now we rejoin the story and move on to the summary part of this video. The World's Finest, Part 4, Battle On. In the video for Part 1, we had left our two heroes facing off the elite force of President Luthor. Although they had come in the nick of time, they were not there to rescue them, but instead they had to arrest Superman and bring him in. A massive battle erupts between the two parties, but both Superman and Batman know that they cannot keep this fight prolonged as time is of the essence. A cunning plan is used, with Katana and Power Girl joining them on their escape to Tokyo City. Meanwhile, back in the White House, President Luthor is preparing himself with unknown substances and as of yet, a mysterious weapon designed to take on the Man of Steel. Back on the ground, it doesn't take long though for Captain Atom and his team to catch up with the runaways and our two heroes. Katana gets a quick drop on Major Force and uses her blade to sever his hands. Although her reflexes are quick, a catastrophe is released upon Tokyo City, since the unleashing of Major Force's power now acts like a nuclear explosion. Only the quick actions of Green Lantern containing the blast and Captain Atom's sacrifice in absorbing all the energy is the disaster averted at the cost of the captain's life. And all this chaos doesn't go unnoticed, as over at the JSA headquarters, it is decided to send Shazam and Hawkman to bring our two superheroes in. And it sure doesn't take long for them to catch up with our small party over in Japan. A fight of epic proportions is released upon the mountainside. With such a difficult fight ahead of them, Batman and Superman attempt a chess move called castling to try and get the upper hand. This doesn't work and our two heroes are defeated, giving the victory to Shazam and Hawkman. End of Part 4. The World's Finest. Part 5. State of Siege. It has been announced that Superman has been caught and is in federal custody. It sure doesn't take long for the Bat family and the Super family to stage a raid on the White House. But President Luthor is not one to be unprepared and has set up a few traps for uninvited guests. The would-be rescue party is easily overcome and captured. Elsewhere and elsewhen, it seems that Captain Atom is not dead. An unusual scene between him and future Superman occurs before we are brought back to the present. In the nick of time, it seems that Hawkman and Shazam have come to the rescue of the Bat family and the Super family from the hands of Luthor. To everyone's surprise though, including President Luthor, it was in fact Superman and Batman masquerading as their would-be captors. Duty calls though, and the pair must return back to Japan. The piece of Krypton is still hurtling towards Earth. President Luthor, on the other hand, has had enough, and he reveals to us a massive power armor suit designed to take on Superman. End of Part 5. The World's Finest. Part 6. Final Countdown. The world is in danger. A massive piece of Krypton is hurtling towards Earth, and all previous methods to stop it have failed. Now, with Superman's natural weakness to the Kryptonian piece, they are left to rely on aid from the Toyman, and he has built him a massive rocket ship in their image. But before Superman can jump in and pilot the ship, a familiar face in the form of Captain Atom reappears. With time being of the essence, he quickly uses Batman's kryptonite ring to subdue Superman. He isn't here looking for a fight. He has come back from the future to pilot the ship and prevent Superman from doing so. Meanwhile, over in Metropolis, at LexCorp Tower, Luthor reveals himself to the world and his power suit. His intentions are made clear. He's gonna destroy the Man of Steel. This is Captain Atom. I leave this Starlog behind so that future generations will understand my actions and that perhaps history will see me in a different light. A heartfelt monologue is given to us by Captain Atom, while down below, Superman and Luthor meet in a titanic battle. No punch is held back as Superman is reminded of all the insane plots that Luthor has unleashed upon the world. The fight ends with LexCorp Towers collapsing in on themselves and Luthor disappearing. End of story. So that is the end of the summary, folks. What are your thoughts about the story? Leave some comments down below. I definitely enjoyed reading this one and sharing it with y'all in this video. But now we're gonna move on to the opinion / spiel side of the video. You can probably already tell that from my enjoyment and praise in the previous video that once again I have quite a few more good things to say about it. So buckle up. Now let's talk about the story once more because we have a few outstanding things that greatly improve the narrative that was started in the first half of the comic. So that is, of course, Captain Atom and his Elite Metahuman Team, which Major Force is a really important part of it. Everyone enjoys a good old classic good versus evil, but what makes things even more outstanding is when we are given characters that don't really fit the usual mold of a hero or a villain and could just as easily fight for the other side. But we are not talking about anti-heroes here. But instead, we are looking at Major Force as, in a way, a sort of a zealot, so focused on completing his orders that he doesn't see that they are coming from President Luthor. I really liked that he was this hothead antagonist in the team, as it made it more difficult for Batman and Superman to negotiate with Captain Atom. And speaking of the Captain, his redemption story was absolutely brilliant in my opinion. Well, probably the fact that he had to go in the future to redeem himself wasn't the best plotline, but the fact that he was willing to sacrifice himself to save Earth at the very end was a pretty brilliant thing. The Starlog at the very end was also a great addition to fully develop the character before the big kaboom. Now, the one thing that lets this comic book down, in my opinion, is the actual rocket ship. For me, it kind of seems out of place to the rest of the comic, and the way it's designed is just a bit over-exaggerated and kind of makes it unrealistic, even by superhero standards. It just kind of looked like an oversized action figure that they decided to throw at the Kryptonian piece. I also didn't quite really like the design of it, but I'm not going to use that against the story. Now, going back to the better parts of the story, I really enjoyed the fact that they brought in so many characters, including in part 1, both superheroes and villains. An absolute highlight had to be, of course, Shazam and Hawkman. Though it wasn't like a super important piece for the main storyline to progress, it was just badass to see. Now, let's move on quickly to talk about the art of the comic book. Once again, it is absolutely fantastic. We still have the beefy characters that help to create some epic fight scenes. And I don't know why, but I really liked when they brought in Hawkman and Shazam. The way they were drawn, and especially the poses and the shading that was used on them, it definitely made me want them to have a bigger role and a more continuous role in the comic. And to be honest, if you're able to get your readers wanting more simply by having amazing art, that's definitely a thumbs up for me. Unlike a previous comic book that I've reviewed here, the art is consistent and it's great to look at. So that will be all from the opinion side of the video. In conclusion, I highly recommend anyone to get their hands on this comic book, and if you get the chance, there is also an animated movie that was created about this specific storyline. Definitely worth a watch as it was a great animated short. Now, I'm gonna have to apologize for how late this video is coming out, and of course, Vintage Friday will also be a bit late. Things have been a bit hectic, so I haven't been able to record these videos. And potentially this might run into next week's videos, which will be Batman and Son. But hopefully after next week's Vintage Friday, everything should be a bit more smooth and more consistent on my end. The aspiration is still that I do 3 videos per week, so I'm going to do my very best to keep to that target. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it. Have you previously read this comic book before? If so, drop your comments down below and let me know what you think about my take on it. Maybe you agree or disagree. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the link below to follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video.